Madam Clerk, I think we have quorum. We're going to call this meeting to order. Can you please read the Chamber Evacuation Emergency Plan announcement and public speaker guidelines? Thank you.
Yes. Upon activation of the emergency alarm signal, all persons should immediately exit the building. Please use the exits to the left or right front of the council chamber or the east or west stairwell outside the rear doors of the chamber. Do not use elevators or escalators. After exiting the building, proceed down 9th Street and into the assembly area located in the former public safety building parking lot. Able persons should assist visually and hearing impaired visitors with exiting the building. Public speaker guidelines. Individuals wishing to speak during public hearings and the public comment period are generally allowed 3 minutes to speak. Persons appearing before the committee are not allowed to campaign for public office, promote private business ventures, use language of a personal nature which insults or demeans any person, including comments directed at public officials or staff members that are not related to their official duties, or address the question staff members directly. All questions are to be directed to the committee chair. Failure to adhere to the guidelines may result in speakers forfeiting any remaining time and further disciplinary action as necessary, which could include barring from attendance at future meetings of the committee for a period of 6 months. And Madam Chair, all members of the committee are in attendance today, and you do have quorum.
All right, Madam Clerk, do we have any persons here who wish to speak for public comment?
Public comment is now open. Is there anyone present who wishes to address the committee regarding items not on today's agenda? Madam Chair, seeing none and no one signed up to speak virtually before the 10 a.m. deadline, the public comment period is now closed and back to the committee.
All right, committee members, we have one slight amendment to the agenda to accommodate for our amazing Superintendent Cameras. Please step right up to the plate. We're going to allow you to go first, and then we'll roll right into presentations and then legislation. Well, welcome.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. I appreciate the accommodation. I hope you are all well. I am thrilled to be here today just to share a couple of updates. Most notably, on Monday, we shared with the school board our graduation results from the class of 2025, as well as our SOL results from last spring. And I'm very glad to share that the class of 2025 had a graduation rate of 80%. It was the first time we've crossed the 80% threshold in just under 10 years. Not only that, and I have this for you if the clerk would like to share it, but the Virginia Department of Education, as you know, keeps track of all things education data. As far back as we can find, it goes to 2008. And so if we look all the way back to 2008, over that time period, almost 20 years, last year, the class of 2025, for economically disadvantaged students in Richmond Public Schools, reached a graduation rate of 84%, which is the highest on record. And our Black students, the graduation rate, as you can see on the second page, was 88%, also the highest on record. I can't speak for before 2008, but this is all the data that they have at the state. Of course, we want to keep going well into the 90s, but I think the data is clear that RPS is on the rise. The one subgroup that we continue to focus on is our multilingual learners, or English learners as they are known. It continues to be a challenge, particularly in the current political environment, where we are seeing some drop-off in attendance due to the threat of ICE raids in the area. And so that is something that we are working on. But of course, this is one of those things that truly takes a village. And so we certainly appreciate the city's support, RPD's support. But that is a very real issue that we are confronting. And so I did want to share that. As for SOLs, I'm going to share with you what I shared with the board. This is how you're going to remember it. You ready? My rising heart sings. You got it? You can say it with me. My rising heart sings. MRHS. You got to just roll with me here. MRHS. Math, reading, history, science. You got it? my rising heart sings. Okay, and you just need to remember 4 numbers. This is easy. 5, 6, 7, and 13. You got it? 5, 6, 7, and 13. Over the last 2 years, my math has gone up 5 points. Rising, reading has gone up 6 points. Heart, history has gone up 7 points. Sing, science has gone up 13 points. Still have a long way to go, but it's great to see that progress year over year. In addition, I'm thrilled to share, as I did previously at one of our other joint meetings, we are outpacing the state in terms of growth, particularly on reading when it comes to disadvantaged students. And for multilingual learners, kids who are learning English as their second or third language, we actually are doing better than the state and better than Henrico and Chesterfield. Still have a long way to go. I would like that to be true for every subgroup, and we will get there, but things are certainly heading in the right direction. Last, I'll just share, as you well know, on Monday and Tuesday, we had some robust discussions around some tweaks to our collective bargaining resolution. School board decided to take a little bit more time to consider those. I continue to believe and will articulate, I think these are common sense modifications that will help us continue to be fiscally prudent and help operate schools. But we will take the next month and engage in further conversations with our union partners and bring it back to the school board for consideration in November. With that, I'm happy to take any questions.
No questions, just a comment. Congratulations.
Thank you, Councilmember Jones.
Good
The
work.
prior school board had some amazing people on it that invested in RPS, and
I was just gonna say, you all have, the school board has had their head down and just been getting to work, and it shows in the work that, in the success of the students and the rise of RPS. So kudos to you all for working together and getting it done.
I appreciate that, and I would be remiss if I did not shout out our chair, your successor, Ms. Fernandez, who has just been an outstanding leader for us and is a great partner.
Yeah, I'd like to echo that sentiment, Superintendent Cameras. And I was sitting up here thinking, I'm like, my God, he's been through all this and he hasn't aged a day. I mean, he's like
yes,
Benjamin Buttons, really and truly. But seriously, hats off to you and the entire RPS staff and team. To go from when I came on in 2020, to go from where we were and enduring all the hardships that we did and the community did through COVID, to see where we've risen now. That's almost a 10-point increase, and that's astonishing and amazing. So hats off to you. The question that I had and it's kind of goes in the vein of the follow-up. So, the committee knows we had a joint meeting between the administration, the mayor's administration, the mayor, city council, and school board, and you. And I thought that was just a really, really healthy dialogue, and a very positive meeting that I really enjoyed just being with you all and having those conversations. One of the things that we were talking about was a joint advocacy plan. And so this is more of a question and a comment, but and things to flag for you, but certainly want to invite you all. School funding is going to be, a highlight in our legislative package, and we have a legislative roundtable coming up with our local delegation. I know you all had that meeting as well, and I'm looking to Will or RJ to tell us what the date, because I had it in my mind. It's coming up very soon, but I wanted to flag that date for you, just to invite you all to make sure. Oh, it's on the 29th. 29th at noon, from noon to 2. But flag that for you all to ensure that we were walking hand in hand with with you all in that meeting to reiterate the importance of state funding and just our partnership there. So,
It is already on my calendar.
well, look at that. It's great staff work. All right. Well, thank you so much, Councilmember Britton. You good? All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us here today, and thanks. So we'll look forward to seeing you back next month.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Have a good day.
All right. Next up, we are going to roll to the presentations. Unless committee member, is there anyone here for legislation that has a time crunch or needs? I don't see anyone. Okay. All right. Well, we'll roll into the Family Crisis Fund annual report then.
Good afternoon, Chair Lynch, Councilman Breton, Councilwoman Jones. We're excited today to have Stan Southworth with us. He's the CEO of Humankind. Humankind has been running our Family Crisis Fund for the last 2 years, and he is here today to give us updates. Welcome, Stan.
Thank you very much, Chair Lynch and members of the committee. I'm very pleased to be here. My name again is Stan Southworth. I'm the president and CEO of Presbyterian Homes and Family Services, doing business as Humankind, just making sure we have that out in public. We have been very fortunate to be a partner with the city of Richmond, acting as the fiduciary for the Family Crisis Fund, and birthed out of the COVID era. We've been able to work with a variety of partners through a standard operating procedure that was worked through with the city to be able to provide resources and funds for individuals and families that are in crisis in Richmond, and we're very proud for the partnership. So we're going to go through the PowerPoint, and again, this is the annual report. This is for the period stretching September of 24 through August of 25. Also on the line, in case that there are some questions that I cannot answer, I need more assistance. We have Suzanne Donich, who is our coordinator of the Family Crisis Fund, who works in our Richmond office on North Thompson. So we've been working since January of 23, and again, we are serving as the fiscal agent, and we are here to meet the emergency financial needs of Richmond residents. This is specifically for the city of Richmond, and our client requests are channeled through, again, 14 community partners. Sometimes this community group of partners expands and contracts depending upon the situation and whether or not the individual partner is working correctly and within the standard procedure, as well as adding others that we feel could make impact. The maximum payment per household is $2,500 annually. That is not a calendar year necessarily. It is within 365 days. The intakes are done and reviewed individually by our partner agencies. That individual was channeled through us through the partner agency. We work directly with the partner and the social worker so that within that particular agency, and confirm the details of exactly what the need is, as well as what we can do to help that individual overcome their financial situation. The payments are always made directly to the vendors or creditors. Payments are not made directly to the individual, but rather we pay the vendor or the creditor. We do a W-9 system as well to ensure that the funds are being utilized exactly for the purpose thereof. And so far, over $3 million have been dispersed since the inception in 2023. So when we talk about the annual report, let's talk a little bit about the activity. Lots of activity. We processed 778 payments over that stretch of time of those 12 months from September 24 through August of 25. We have paid over 300, specifically 303 unique vendors have been paid through this process, and we have helped 656 individual clients. 1.14 million in payments have been distributed during this 12-month cycle, and the average payment is approximately $1,750. Because the impact within the family as well should be looked at from the aspect of the benefit of the entire family and the impact that would have to the children involved. We do track that, and during this time period, 669 children were living in the households that received assistance through the Family Crisis Fund. So what are we using the Family Crisis Fund as far as the disbursements? A little over 70% is going to housing. While 70% of the payments are going to housing, that equates to a little over 85% of the total funds that are dispersed. By far, that is the greatest percentage of the payments that are going out, a little over 70%. Next up is utility payments. Those are paid directly to the utility, as I mentioned before, directly to the vendor, a little over 16%. And then, of course, automobiles, childcare, home repair, etc., as you're seeing in the pie chart. Who are we helping as far as demographics during this time? 88% of the individuals that we have served in this time frame of the 12 months from September of 24 through 25, August, 88% of them are African American, 7% of them are white, 2% are multiracial, and 3% identify as Hispanic. As far as the age and the gender, 80% of the individuals that we have served as far as paying the vendors and the creditors through the Family Crisis Fund, 80% of those clients that have been served have been female, with 20% male. And then as far as the age range, by far the largest group, 57%, are between the ages of 25 and 54. We go to the next level as far as those that are over 65 are 10%. And then, of course, 18 to 24 is 7%. And then income. 74% or less than 50% of the median income that has been identified with the city of Richmond as far as poverty is concerned. And then again, 26% or less than 80% of the median income. This is a heat map of where the clients have been served. As you can see, this is based on zip code, but this is all within the city of Richmond city limits. The vast majority of them are in the South Richmond, as well as the eastern portion of the city. We have next up is going to be South Richmond, as far as the more westerly part of it, near the Bon Air area, Stratford Hills, that area, Forest Hill, and then 73 clients and 34 clients are moving your way up into the north side in the North Richmond area. And then 90%, we've worked with about 90 clients that are in downtown Richmond in and of itself. So in the annual report, you're going to see more detailed maps that show by zip code where the individuals live. This is something that we've been able to map, so you can see where we are having the greatest impact as far as who the clients, where exactly they're living, where they are getting the benefit of these funds. I want to make sure that I emphasize this. This is something that many times that we get phone calls and inquiries from individuals that are looking for assistance like this, but they can't access it because they don't live in the city of Richmond. And they often say, virtually every time, that they wish that this were available where they lived. And our headquarters in Lynchburg, Virginia, when I tell them that this is what we're doing as far as the fiduciary for the city, they are incredibly responsive in that they're impressed by the opportunity that the city has allowed to support these citizens during the most trying financial times that they have in their life, whether it's avoiding eviction, avoiding cutoffs of utilities, ensuring they can continue to have their vehicle and it's not repossessed. So all of that being said, I am very pleased and grateful to have this partnership. It is difficult work. It is strenuous. The individuals that we work with are often in crisis, but we want to make sure that as we work with our partners and they bring our clients to us and we work with them, we want to ensure that we're getting to the root cause, if at all possible, of what their financial needs and their financial issues are, and hopefully be able to remediate it with this Family Crisis Fund payment, and then hopefully allow them to have a more successful and stable financial future. Any questions that I can answer, or I can have Suzanne help me answer with you all this evening?
So I would like to know more about how we pay the creditors and vendors. And does that ever tend to be a bottleneck or a difficult situation where somebody that we would like to help has a vendor or creditor that is difficult to connect with to get them help?
A lot of it is time. Sometimes we have difficulty getting them to do a W-9 so we can make the payment. We have not had that become too much of a problem, but we've been able to work through those issues. One of the bigger challenges that we have faced that we've been able to respond to is when someone comes and they're either going to have their utilities cut off within a very short period of time, or they are going to be evicted within a very short period of time. So we've been able to work with Dominion Power as well as work with our landlords, where we will give them a letter of commitment that we guarantee that the funds are coming, because we cut the checks once a week to ensure that they understand and they appreciate the fact that while there is a process in place, they will get their funds. So that being said, that's to my understanding the basis for the challenges that we have had. But all that being said, it's been really surprisingly smooth because it can be a challenge, as you can imagine, when outside looking in.
I'd imagine that we hopefully have data on the number of applicants that we get, possibly applicants that we are forced to turn away for whatever reason. And I would imagine, do we ever also have to include in that data applicants that we were unable to help because the timeline of the vendor just logistically couldn't work?
Well, to be honest with you, we're able to resolve all of that. And so we have not had significant issues with not being able to help that particular vendor that's within, as long as the client lives within the city of Richmond. What we do run into is individuals that come to us that don't live in the city, and they request the assistance. And then we obviously refer them, or they utilize the services of a partner agency, but they're not eligible for this funding.
Now, I know that we also have an eviction diversion fund that the city funds. That's another program that meets a similar need sometimes. I know that one of the criteria they often use is to understand, is this truly a one-time event? Am I putting a Band-Aid on a problem that really, is going to come back next month? Do you have criteria like that when you assess the ability or the approval to approve an application?
The biggest challenge that it's been shared with me is when someone comes to us and they are in arrears for, say, $3,000, $3,500, we're only allowed to disperse $2,500. And so making a $2,500 payment to a $3,500 debt is not going to stop their eviction. So then what we work with them, the best what we possibly can, is have the partner agency coordinate potentially other resources that could be utilized by that client. But all that being said, we have a lot of folks, as it's been shared with me, have been able to avoid eviction, but they need to get to us by the time that the extent of what they owe does not exceed the $2,500 every calendar year.
All right. I guess my last question is, I know that we also used the fund for the water crisis relief as well. How did that impact your ability to serve the usual clients?
Well, all that being the water crisis, it was a significant amount of new applicants that were coming in. We worked with our partners in the city to create a new standard operating procedure addendum to what we currently do. And what we were able to do is that when we meet that need, say they owe $1,200 or something along those lines, as far as the impact of the water loss, they can receive those funds after it's been qualified and it's been paid out. But then they can, unlike the current family crisis fund, where you can only do it once every 365 days, accessing the water crisis fund did not negate them from being able to utilize the family crisis fund as well, as long as the total amount did not exceed the $2,500. One of the things we did note was, as we worked through the process with these individuals, what we were finding is, going deeper into the qualification, most of what was happening with them was not necessarily all about a cause by the water crisis. A lot of them were other issues. And so what we've been able to do is work with them through this fund, but also work with our partners as they serve the clients to ensure that, are we getting to the root problem and being able to keep them from having to have this same financial issue happen again and again. And so the water crisis piece was, we ran through those funds relatively quickly, but we were able to be very responsive, even though there were hundreds that applied for it, and then work through the clientele that we have, our client partners, to ensure that we were able to serve as many as we possibly could in the short time we had those funds available.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just a couple of quick questions. I think my colleague alluded to it a little bit, but when a client comes to you all for support, what is the next step? Because you mentioned that they typically come to you in crisis. They submit documentation. If you can work with their creditors, then a check is cut.
Right.
What happens then? How are we continuing? Is there a follow-up with the client? Is there, you mentioned partners. Are there partners that they are working with ongoing? That's my first question. And then the second question is, how often are they able to come back and apply? So I'll go with those two first.
So the second one, very quickly, they can apply as long as they can receive the funds once every 365 days. They can access the Family Crisis Fund once every 365 days. I want to make sure we're clear that as the fiduciary, we are not the primary organization that is working directly with the client to overcome their challenges and work with them in a social work type of atmosphere. The partner agencies that we work with in the city, they work with the client, and it's their client that they bring to us. We validate their need and the qualifications based on the procedures that we have worked with the city of Richmond. We cut the check, but that client still receives services as a client of that partner. So we handle the financial aspect of it, but as far as the ongoing work, that's done by the partners themselves. And what we're finding is that they are consistently following up with these individuals to ensure that it's not just a situation where they get one-time assistance, but how can they ensure that they're going to not have the same issue over and over again and have the same challenge. But again, I can speak from our aspect that we work directly with our partner agencies and then again with the vendor, but the clients themselves are the ones that are getting those services as far as the support and the ongoing case management by our partner agencies.
Got it. And how often do you see a recurring client? I know they can only access the funds once every year, but how long has it been now with the funds?
How often do we see a client over again?
Right. Yeah. So do you see a high number of recurring applicants, even though they can only access them, a certain period of time?
So what we have seen quite a bit of is they will go to let's say partner A, which is their case manager, and they receive funding through that partner. Then at some point within the next 365 days, they will happen to go to another partner, partner B, and attempt to apply again. But because we have the capacity in the database to validate it, we ensure that they understand that they're not eligible because of the one time over the 365 time frame. But we also work directly with that second case manager or that second group to ensure that this individual, if they're not getting what they need from that primary organization that's case managing, we need to get to that bottom line as far as the base issue, because this is not the type of situation where individuals can just go to client, to organization, because there is a relationship that is based in the case management system with our partner agencies. And that's where the rubber hits the road, in my opinion, in regards to the individuals being able to overcome the issues that have plagued them during this particular time, which then allows them, or that has met their needs through the Family Crisis Fund. So that's what we're seeing. But we have worked with clients that have received a payment once a year, and then they may have another issue the following year, but they're still eligible because it's a new year. That does happen.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Well, first, thank you and sorry for when we first dreamt up this program, which actually, arose in my heart, and a lot of case manager, social workers who've been doing this work in the field recognize this piece, emergency relief funding, as a missing link in our system that really makes, it's the recipe is good case management and then, what we like to call jumpstart or emergency relief funding. you can do all the greatest casework in the world, but at the end of the day, if that's not paying for your rent, it's not keeping you housed. So, I mean, to have a relief fund like this, the vision really started a long, long time ago. But because of our, we got some additional ARPA money and some of those funds to be able to help us start this. Start the Family Crisis Fund up. We were able to bring you in, and we don't regret it. I hope you don't. But it's been a wonderful tool in the community, and I mean, I don't know. We've our office and all of our offices. We've probably done hundreds of these applications for folks. So I've seen it work, and it is an incredible godsend for the people that are able to get it. Two couple pieces of feedback, just, and I'm going to kind of I'm going to put my field hat on, is, one, I think one of the kind of common antidotes that I run into with, when working with folks, and going through this application process, or just like when you get a case generally, and the family crisis fund seems appropriate. You ask them, and you colleagues, I don't know if you've run into this experience where you say, hey, have you received do you know if you've received family crisis funding yet? And a lot of them will say, no, absolutely not, I haven't. And they really don't identify, we don't, like, the program isn't branded per se, and we don't promote it. So a person or a family may have received family crisis funding and they don't know it, right? From their perspective, they've gotten their rent, they went to a CCC, or they went to a YMCA, or they went to a partner, and they're like, hey, thank you so much for the help, but they don't necessarily recognize it as family crisis funding, right? So piece of feedback would be when we're just educating our clients, because I've run into that challenge with folks just not, our humans that we're serving, deserve to know, like, what resources they're being served, right? And get some education there. And I think that would help eliminate some of the duplicate applications, because we have a lot of duplicate applicants in our system. And if you were to pull the United Help One RVA data, I think you would find, my hypothesis is probably 33% of the if not more, of the applications for family crisis funding are probably duplicates, meaning that they've applied within that calendar year without knowing or recognizing that it was family crisis funding. So that's one, is just to kind of, and then two, we've got just a whole cadre of case managers out there in the field that work with the Family Crisis Fund, that have a lot of questions about it, and just like general kind of education about the program, who's eligible, who's not, all the stipulations, and eligibility criteria, how to access it, et cetera. I think would be super helpful to pull together a learning lab that would be dedicated specifically for, case managers, social workers. And I'm thinking communities and schools is a big stakeholder that we could, serve to educate, provide some education criteria on, hospital, social workers. There's a whole kind of list of folks that I think would really benefit from getting some education, because they know about it, but they don't. Again, because this is kind of like a well-kept secret, right? Like, we haven't widely promoted the program because we have a limited amount of funds. So we've had a careful balance of sharing what we can, but not just blasting out as much information as we probably would with a larger, more robust program. But what that's created is a lot of question marks out there in the system, especially with the field level folks. So if you all, or somebody in the city maybe, could put together like a module or a learning lab, I think that would be incredibly valuable, and kind of squelch some of the questions, and then some of the confusion and frustration, quite frankly, that some folks might experience when trying to access the fund. And then the third suggestion is on the case management piece, ongoing case management. God love our partners for trying to do ongoing case management without the additional funding, but they're doing it without additional funding. And so we never, but like when we budget for a family crisis fund, there's no additional monies that our nonprofit partners get, or referring partners get to provide staff support and ongoing case management. So the reality is that we desire to do that, but we're not. I mean, I can just tell you, we're not really doing that,
Okay.
and we need to, and we need a budget for it, and or raise money or go to our philanthropic partners and saying, look, this program works, case management works. It is the secret sauce to human services, always and forever. For the love of God, help us fund the administration, fund some operating budget for this program. I think that would be incredibly valuable to hear from our referring partners if they were to actually do a real case management, like from receiving of funds, 6 months of tracking and case management. And I'm not talking hours of case management. We can't afford that. But but you know, at least some follow-up. You know, if that's 20 hours over a 6-month period, what's the budget for that, and what do they need, and what would they find most helpful? Because I think if we're going to really go into phase 2 of this program, having that ongoing case management support, and I say that very lightly, so, you know, not full robust case management, but a diet version. What would that budget look like? And what do we need to think about in the future if we're going to, you know, really be able to measure success with that? So those are my 3 little small pieces of feedback. I hope they're small, but I appreciate everything that you all have done. It's been incredible work.
Well, we appreciate the partnership. Thank you.
All right. So with that, next we have our DCAO. Needs no introduction, Ms. Amy Popovich. How are you?
Good afternoon, Chair Lynch, council members. All right, I've got some updates for you. One being our winter weather shelter plan. Couple of points to this, but before I get started, just want to give credit to Allison Sailors, who oversees our Office of Homeless Services, who's done a lot of work in this space. There she is in the red. Yay, Allison. Okay, so our inclement weather shelter will open November 15th to April 15th at night. That opens every single night. And it's operated at the Salvation Army, and it's open from 5 p.m. to 8 a.m. And it has capacity for 106 adult individuals. Extended IWS, which includes daytime hours, remains at 40 degrees, when the temperature remains at 40 degrees, 40 degrees after 8 a.m., and then it will remain until the temperature goes below that 40 degrees. So there's 2 indicators here, temperature and precipitation, to tell us when it's open during the day, which is similar to how we do it in the summer using slightly different weather indicators. So it's at 40 degrees. Whenever it goes below that, or above that, that's when it closes in the day. And then precipitation, 1 inch of freezing rain or snow accumulated within a 24-hour period. So those are the 2 indicators we use for when we continue on those hours beyond 8 a.m. Overflow shelter at Caritas. This body helps to oversee and approve our overflow shelter work at Caritas, which will be activated if the inclement weather shelter reaches 85% capacity and the temperature is supposed to be below 32 degrees. And that capacity is an additional 60 beds. The extended overflow shelter will be activated when that temperature remains at 30 degrees, and then it will continue on after 8 a.m. and it will remain open until that temperature goes below 32 degrees, similar to the IWS shelter. Additionally, that same 1 inch of precipitation of freezing snow or rain, freezing rain or snow accumulates within a 24-hour period. So that's our single adult options, our inclement weather shelter through Salvation Army, and then a surge bed capacity at Caritas if needed. Additionally, just an important note on our families, the Office of Homeless Services has already gathered a lot of our key partners in the family space, and we're working with those partners and providers to create a collaborative process for assessing and intervening with unsheltered families this winter. So we'll have more information on that before November 15th. The other point I'll add is we'll make sure to bring in our wide range of homeless services partners before November 15th. So they too, we can kind of walk with this through with them so they have a really good understanding of what resources are available to our community this winter. We have a few other updates. Chair, would you like me to keep going or do you want to? Okay, great. Just wanted to mention a couple of the potential impacts of the federal shutdown. Wanted to make sure you all knew we were thinking about it. We're looking into it, talking to our local and state partners. The first one, of course, is from social services. Both SNAP and TANF benefits people have received for the month of October. So we know our families and our individuals have received those funding. We don't yet know about if they'll receive it for November. So that is certainly uncertain. We've also looked at the information we have on the heating season assistance and the other benefits we have through social services. We are continuing on with energy assistance, and we still have some funding for energy assistance. However, the fuel assistance program starts October 15th, and we'll accept applications, but there's still some uncertainty with that funding source as well. That's all federal funds. But we are working closely with VDSS in this process. We've also reached out to the health department about WIC. WIC is a pretty similar situation where they think the working with VDH funds will continue till the end of October, but a little bit uncertain after that as well. So we're continuing to make sure we're in touch with them regularly if they've heard any updates, but that's kind of where we are with that. We've also stayed in touch with our partner Feedmore, who's well aware of what's happening and is on standby to participate with us should we need more food in the future too. Okay, a couple of points too, also in our homeless space in this federal shutdown. A couple of reports from Homeward about that most continuum of care funded agencies are able to sustain a couple of weeks here during this shutdown. They encouraged a lot of the continuum of care agencies to draw down funds the end of September. So they did that to kind of carry them a couple of weeks while we're waiting to see. The largest COC grantee is the Support Works, and they were able to pay all of their October rent for their supportive housing. So October's looking okay. We're just kind of holding our breath for what's next. A big concern is some of their federal grants are set to renew at the beginning of November. So we're wondering if there'll be any delay in those contracts or not. Also, I really wanted to update this body about potential cuts from HUD in next fiscal year. There was some leaked documents in fiscal year HUD Continuum of Care Notice of Funding Opportunity that demonstrated that there could be some potential cuts, including permanent supportive housing and rapid rehousing, which could be about 30% of the funds that go to our area continuum of care. So permanent supportive housing is about 87% of all the funding here in our Richmond Continuum of Care. So practically what that looks like is, again, potentially up to 200 households currently enrolled in permanent supportive housing could lose support. And then in rapid rehousing, that would shrink from 164 to 50 households. So again, we're doing everything we can to prepare for what the future might look like, but certainly funding cuts are very probable and wanted to make sure we updated this body. I'm going to end on a positive note. Last weekend, we hosted our Falling for the Culture gun violence prevention event in Gilpin. It was a great kickoff in partnership with Mount Moriah Church. I got to be there. The choir came on. It was a great celebration to really focus on community and partnership. This was certainly in partnership with several agencies across the city and with community and with Greg Hopkins, who leads our Office of Gun Violence Prevention. So that work is well underway, and we are excited to share it. Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Well, thank you so much for all of those updates, and we appreciate you and the entire team and all the hard work that you all are doing to keep us afloat here. And we will stay close on the inclement weather shelter plan for families, and then next meeting in our are we in October? My God. In our November meeting, committee members, there is a request to talk about all of the gun violence prevention and gun violence prevention initiatives that are taking place in the city, and have Mr. Hopkins join us, since we have not gotten here from him yet, if you're amenable to that. Okay. All right. So next we're going to roll right into board vacancy legislation. Or do we want to do board vacancies? I'm amenable to. We have legislation, but Madam Clerk, do you want to do boards and vacancies? We'll just go ahead and roll through that if I blurted it out. Here we go.
Good afternoon, Chair Lynch, Ms. Jones, Mr. Breton, Pamela Nichols, Council Management Analyst. The vacancy report before you this afternoon consists of current and projected vacancies through February 8th, 2026. And we're just going to dive right in. So starting with the Advisory Board of Recreation and Parks, we have a vacancy for a 9th District representative. And of course, Ms. Jones, we have been in contact with her, and she has given her support for Anitra Rochelle Carter. And then moving down to the Aging and Disability Advisory Board, we have several vacancies, but we did receive an application for a resident who is a person with a disability, and the individual is Laura Malikna. And then also you will notice on your report where we have highlighted where, because we do report on mayoral vacancies. So we also would like to advise the committee when the mayor has made appointments. And you will see that for the Human Rights Commission, between August and September, 4 appointments were made to the Human Rights Commission. But that is just for informational purposes and does not require approval by council. And then moving on to page 2, for the Lewis Ginter Botanical Garden, there's still the vacancy. And then Vic Murthy, who is also now a member of the advisory board for the Recreation and Parks, but that is the only application that we have received. And for the Maggie L. Walker Initiative Citizen Advisory Board, there are one vacancy for a council appointment seat, and then 4 vacancies for the mayor. And then moving down to the Richmond Public Library, in July, the board did make a recommendation, and it was considered by council, but there then was a request for this committee to then to reconsider their recommendation to allow for the submission of additional applications. And it is my understanding that Mr. Antoine Green, he did submit an application. It's included in your packet, and that is the individual that they highly recommend for that seat. And then for Social Services Advisory Board, we have 2 vacancies for city resident. And we have a reappointment application from Lisa Spector Dunaway and an initial application from Kenrick Cameron Jr.
Reappointment, okay. So do you want us to go through each one of them, or you just want us to like approve the recommendations? But we want to continue the application for Lewis Ginter,
Okay.
to receive more applications for that. And then we support the library, the Parks and Rec, and the Social Services Advisory Board.
Okay. Okay, wonderful. Sounds good. And for clarification, we're going to continue the Lewis Ginter vacancy until the next quarterly review cycle, correct?
To open it up for some more applications.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for that clarification. Okay.
All right.
Second.
The committee is voting on the board's recommendations as stated. Mr. Breton,
Aye.
Vice Chair Jones,
Aye.
Chair Lynch.
Aye.
That motion has been approved.
Thank you.
All right. So we will roll through our legislation. We got first up, we've got ordinance 2025-224. Madam Clerk, will you read it into the record?
Yes, Madam Chair. Item 1, ordinance 2025-2024, to authorize the CAO on behalf of the city to execute a fiscal agent agreement between Next Up RVA for the purpose of authorizing as a fiscal agent to facilitate funding for the Department of Parks, Recreation, and Community Facilities 2025 CarMax Basketball Youth Development and Summer Camp Program. That paper is for the committee.
Is there any member? Oh, here we are. Members of the administration to present. Come on up.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Deborah Morton. I'm the Deputy Director of Parks, Recreation, and Community Facilities. And this paper before you is for to execute an agreement between the city and Next Up so that they could be the fiscal agent and receive the funds from CarMax that we have received over the last 19 years for our basketball camp and league at Pine Camp. Any questions?
Before we do questions, we are going to do public comment. Madam Clerk, is there anyone here to speak for or against this ordinance?
Is there anyone in the chamber who wishes to speak in opposition to this paper? Is there anyone here who wishes to speak in support of this paper? Madam Chair, seeing none and no one signed up to speak virtually, the item is now closed and back to the committee. Public hearing is now closed and back to the committee.
Committee members' questions.
Hi.
Hi.
The first question is, the Next Up, that's a change, right, as a fiscal agent? Who
Yeah.
was the fiscal agent before?
Previously, it was in Richmond.
In Richmond?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. And then the question that I do have is relative to this program. Is it specific for Richmond youth?
Yes.
And so the young people that participate in this camp and in this program are not AAU basketball players. They are
No.
Richmond residents who are taking advantage of the camp during the summer.
Correct. They come through our recreation centers.
So they come
So they sign up through our recreation centers.
in all the recreation centers, or are there like, do they come through like all the recreation centers promote them and then the young
Correct.
people come through those?
Yes.
And then the other question was, what sites? Because I know they play some at Broad Rock, right? Broad Rock
Mhm.
Sports Park. And then what other neighborhoods or areas do they actually play these games in?
So the main site is Pine Camp. CarMax put a lot of money into renovating the basketball courts years ago. And so that is our main site with their logo and everything. And we do a few league games at Boardwalk, but those are the only two sites.
So is there a way that we could expand that? Because I do know that that is the main site, but it is hard for people to get from Southside to, over there. And I think if we're going to support it as a city program, it should be in both areas.
Mhm.
And is there a reason why like CarMax didn't upgrade the, park over there for the same premises and purposes if they're going to support all city youth?
They renovated in 206, 207, so I'm not sure
Yeah, yeah.
why. That was the site that they took a look at and that they liked and agreed to that. So we're in the process of applying for the 2026 foundation grant
Mhm.
for this program. And so that's a question that we could ask them.
Yeah,
If they
I
have a
would
problem,
definitely like
yeah.
to get some follow-up on that to
Mhm.
see, just to make sure that, I know a lot of the games are played at the
Mhm.
Pine Camp one, and I would love to see more played at Broad Rock. That park is kind of underutilized,
Mhm.
from a basketball standpoint. And I think we have a lot of youth over there that could benefit from that. So, yeah, I
Okay.
think that was my only question.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you. Madam Chair, any other questions? Councilman?
I know that Next Up RVA also administers our Positive Youth Development Fund.
Mhm.
Is there any, I don't know, like synergy or between these two funds? Is there a relation between them?
No, they're just a pass-through agency.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Any other questions? Madam Chair.
No, good. With that, I'll make the motion to forward to full council with recommendation passed.
Second.
Thank you.
The committee is voting on the motion to forward item 1, ordinance 2025-224 to council with a recommendation to approve. Mr. Breton,
Aye.
Vice Chair Jones,
Aye.
Chair Lynch.
Aye.
That motion has been approved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. With that, we will do ordinance 2025-041.
Resolution 2025-R041 to approve the City of Richmond Plan of Services under the Virginia Juvenile Community Crime Control Act. That paper is before the committee.
Sorry, oh, here we are. Hello.
Hello. Greetings, Chair Lynch, Vice Chair Jones, and Committee Member Breton. My name is Shannon Paul, and I am happy to serve as a Deputy Director in the Department of Justice Services. Also, equally happy to present for your approval the Virginia Juvenile Community Crime Control Act, or as we lovingly call it, VJCCCA plan. This plan outlines how we continue to serve youth in our community through early intervention, accountability, and rehabilitation programs, all designed to reduce recidivism and strengthen community safety. Some of the ways in which we do that are diversion and community service programs, restorative justice initiatives, home electronic monitoring, life skills and pro-social skills training, special service programs. Overarching goals are to reduce, as I said, juvenile recidivism through evidence-based community-centered interventions, to provide alternatives to detention that are safe, structured, and cost-effective, and also to strengthen collaboration among schools, families, law enforcement, and community partners. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, are there persons present to speak for or against this resolution?
Is there anyone in the chamber who wishes to speak in opposition to this paper? Is there anyone in the chamber that wishes to speak in support of this paper? Madam Chair, seeing none, the public hearing is now closed and back to the committee.
Committee members, do you have any questions? I'll go if you guys aren't ready. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to piece this program like the format of this program narrative together.
Okay.
So I'm trying to get a sense. So our total universe of funding is what, 667,000?
$695,366 is what the plan includes. $347,683 of that is general funds from the city of Richmond.
Okay.
And we can receive up to $347,683 from the Virginia Department of Juvenile Justice.
And how many youth are we serving with that 647?
I'll call up, if I may, one of my esteemed colleagues from the Department of Justice Services, the program manager, Mr. Olivier Fay.
Good afternoon. So my name is Olivier Fay. I'm the program manager for the youth community for DJS. So for the current plan, we have 12 individual programs that we have. And if you guys look at the plan that you guys received, and I will go one by one to let you know. So for our community service, we are anticipated to have 80 youth. For our pre-D, we are anticipated to have 85 youth. For our community monitoring, we are anticipated to have 50 youth. For our decision point, we are anticipated to have 15. Virginia rules, 20. Arise, 30. Restorative justice, 10. Specialized services, 10. Larceny, 10. Violence reduction, 20. Broken lane, 10. And girl circle, 15.
Oh, yeah, these numbers are different. So, and so what's the total? We don't know the total unduplicated number of youth that we're serving.
So these are the estimated number based on what's required from DJS. So as we go for the fiscal year, we anticipating to serve all these youth that we have on the plane. And last year, I can say that we met what was required from DJS. We served that. So
I just want to make sure we understand the questions. You're asking for the total unduplicated youth for the entire array of services. While we don't have that number with us on hand, we can work to provide that to you.
Okay.
Because as he said, for this fiscal year, it's an estimate of what we expect to serve. And so we don't always know at the beginning who will be sent to us, but we could look at the numbers from last year and make an estimate based on that, if you think that would be helpful.
Yeah, and the reason why I'm asking these questions, my colleague might have the same questions, is because often, diversion programs are really, really important to the community. It's an important piece of gun violence prevention. It's a very important piece to restorative justice, as you know. It's an important piece for RPS so that they can get our students back on track. And I'm looking at these numbers and I'm thinking, that can't be the total number of kids that we have that are eligible for diversion. And I think about what other states are doing and the money that they're drawing down. And I'm wondering, like, are we getting enough money? Because $647,000, I mean, I couldn't run a program that serves more than like 40 kids with that, with like community-based services. So I'm trying to figure out how are you all, like, are we really doing it? Are we doing the thing that we need to do with this amount of money that we have here?
yes, ma'am. So and I can backtrack a little bit to let you know how the process works. So this is a collaborative effort with us and the core service unit. All the youth that we receive on the VJ-CCCA come from the core service unit. We receive the referral from them. Then we proceed into connecting with the youth and providing the services.
So in other words, if the judge does not put them in the diversion program, you all don't receive them?
Yes, we don't.
So out of all of the youth that are going through our courts, this is the number that we, out of the hundreds?
Based on, go ahead.
Based on previous years, yes, this is what we expect to receive. We welcome the opportunity to receive more. We're available to do that, but this is what we do receive.
Am I incorrect in my understanding of DJJ and the bill that was passed 5 years ago, in that when the higher number of kids that we place into diversion, the more we qualify for a state match every year?
I'm not aware of that. What I've known is for the duration, for at least the last 5 years, this is the amount that we have received from them. I'm not sure about that. What I will also say is in justice services, we provide an array of services. So this isn't the only thing that we do. But as far as the plan, I can't really speak to whether or not we can receive additional money. I know what we have received as part of the plan.
But this is how the city is doing DJJ diversion. Am I correct? This is the diversion program for the
This
city.
is the diversion program, yes, sir.
And so every other youth that's in a courtroom that's not court ordered into diversion is going into incarceration. Is that correct?
We have all the alternative programs in our youth department that we offer programs. Miss Wayfield, one of our youth supervisor, and she be able to let you guys know other program that we have under her division.
Yeah, we need more time.
Good afternoon. We do have programming in justice services for young people who are not court involved. One of the programs that we have is our Youth Justice Leadership Program, where we teach young people how to serve in leadership positions in criminal justice as well as restorative justice. We also have another leadership program that we're going to focus to address violence in the community. We are calling them the Lift Messengers. We also have a youth court program where young people are referred to the program without going through the court system. And in that program, their peers, which are the youth justice leaders, provide restorative sanctions for them. And some of those sanctions involve having life skills, reflective essays, community service, and we give them the opportunity to rebuild the trust in the community. So we do have opportunities for young people to be involved in justice services without having court involvement.
Can you state your name for the record? Sorry, excuse me.
I'm sorry. My name is Erica Wakefield, and I'm the program supervisor for youth justice.
So, and that's wonderful. We love that you're doing community programming for our youth. What I'm talking about here is our diversion program that we have a lot of justice involved youth who go on. Well, first of all, if you're lucky enough to get tried as a youth, some of our youth who are 15, 16 years old are getting tried as adults, and they are not yielding great outcomes as a result of that, right? So the diversion program was intended originally when Governor McAuliffe's administration worked on that. It was intended to really take the majority of DJJ cases and put them into rehabilitative community-based services, and for the state to then fund that. So what I'm seeing here in the numbers is out of the hundreds of cases that we get that go before the court. This is not on y'all. This is not y'all. You are out of the hundreds of cases that might be eligible to be put in diversion and truly receive rehabilitative or restorative services out in the community to heal trauma, to heal hurt, to actually become productive members of the society so that they can go back to school, they can work, they won't hurt people, hurt people. What I'm seeing in the numbers is that we're not really getting a lot of cases from the courts, it seems like. I mean, am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. I mean, the numbers as we presented are what we expect, and you just made a great case for maybe the relative imbalance between what is out there and what we're receiving. What I can say for now that this is the plan for FY26. We are very happy and willing to go back and gather more information and seek, but it sounds like maybe more conversation needs to be had as we're planning for the future in this, so that we do have more numbers in FY27, because your point is very well taken.
Do we have a residential provider in our plan?
Not for this year.
Okay. So my colleague and I over here would like to ask, if we do continue this paper, is that going to completely throw your deadline off so that we can have more conversation about how to better support you and your diversion programming?
Well, what I will say is that the plan has already been through the approval process at the other levels, which is the judges have approved it, the court services unit have approved it, and so CPMT has approved it. Whatever is your will is your will, but the plan has been approved for FY26. You would be the last leg of the approval.
Yeah, so that's a great suggestion. My colleague had suggested that perhaps we continue this to next month and have a whole committee meeting devoted to what we're doing holistically on addressing at-promise youth and at promise programming and DJJ diversion and gun violence prevention. And then really challenge all of the same systems that have kept these numbers low for a long time. Maybe because they weren't looking at it hard enough and they weren't doing what they needed to do to draw question to the fact that we aren't. Yeah, and I mean, I look at the hundreds of cases. You look at that court docket every week. It's, I mean, we should be in the hundreds. If we want to talk about really doing diversion, which is the direction that the Commonwealth, chose to take, 5-6 years ago and really fund it. So we're leaving money on the table as well as we're leaving people hurt. We're not healing them, and then we're leaving money on the table. So it just doesn't, the math doesn't math there. And I'm sure you expressed this I'm sure you're advocating for more diversion services. I mean, that's at the core of your soul and spirit and what you do. So I'm sure you're saying that message too.
Yes, ma'am. The people that work in this effort in DJS and throughout the city in different ways are truly passionate and committed. And we share the same passion that you do. So short answer, yes.
Yeah, I think that'd be helpful. And then the other data point that when you all come back is to get a line of sight or a data point on the cross system involved youth. So DJJ and foster care involved youth you have that?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
So the cross system involved youth. So it's typically almost half of our DJJ population also has either an open child welfare case or is actively in foster care. So I would love to know what our Richmond City population is, because that opens up a whole nother avenue of funding and programming that should be available for those youth as well. So, okay, well, committee members, we're voting to continue this to the November meeting. Madam Clerk, we have a motion.
So move.
So I do have a first and second.
Second.
The committee is voting on the motion to continue item 2, resolution 2025-R041 to the next Education and Human Services Standing Committee meeting held on November 13th, 2025. Mr. Breton?
Aye.
Vice Chair Jones?
Aye.
Chair Lynch?
Aye.
That motion has been approved.
All right, committee members, we'll now have the approval of minutes. Madam Clerk.
The minutes to be approved are for September 11th, 2025 for the Education and Human Services Standing Committee meeting held at 2 p.m. If there are no amendments or corrections, then the meeting minutes will stand approved as presented. Those minutes have been approved. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Perkins, do you have any staff reports for us?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, Will Perkins, staff for City Council. I wanted to take a moment to make sure we're aligned on your presentation schedule for next month in particular. So I'll read you what I have now, and I think potentially you all can discuss if you'd like to keep that or make any changes. So we had invited the DCAO of Human Services to further elaborate on the new process for non-departmental grants. That was item number 1. Item number 2 was to again invite the DCAO of Human Services to provide an annual update on the biennial homeless strategic plan. That's a plan that's required in city code and a biennial plan, but they also have to have annual updates. And then third, we had listed the Richmond Redevelopment Housing Authority on something. So we didn't have a specific topic. So wanted to again sort of let you have a moment here together to discuss if you'd like to keep those as planned or make any adjustments at this time. Thank you.
Mr. Perkins, what committee members are discussing is and have put on the table is
She just presented.
is to replace the non-departmental. We do want to dig into non-departmental. It might be advisable for those of us that have deeper. I know our consultant is going to be meeting with us one-on-one or 2x2. That's correct? I believe that would be helpful so that we all have the benefit of taking a deeper dive on non-departmental and can, we don't have to take up too much of the committee's time on those questions. So let's replace the non-departmental RHHA. We will table for now. We sorted through some of that. The other was the homelessness strategic plan. And I would suggest committee members actually sending that to OD so that the full committee can get that report because it's very, very important. And then that way that leaves us room and capacity to have a full session on the whole universe of gun violence prevention out at Promise Youth. Committee members, does that sound okay?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So that is, we'll make the recommendation that be heard at the Monday, November 3rd organizational development meeting rather than your next meeting is November 13th.
November 13th.
That's correct.
No, he's talking about the.
So if it's not at your next meeting, which is Thursday, November 13th, it would be at the Monday, November 3rd
Oh, yeah.
organizational development meeting.
This is for the homelessness strategic plan. No, Amy's looking at me. Come on now. Okay, we'll hash out the date. Bottom line, we want to have that in front of full committee. All right, but everyone's good with the agenda as slated for next November being, okay, got it. All right. Committee members, with no further business, this meeting stands adjourned.